Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Joe Bear here, and we are back for 5 debates. Now, this one's going to be interesting. We got here my man, James Redmond, representing for Liverpool, Adam Mckola, of course, the Man United fan, Nicky for West Ham, and yes, Rory Jennings for Chelsea. Okay, guys, listen, it's going to be an interesting one. Just find me as the moderator, right? Don't see me as the Arsenal fan. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. You know, I'm going to be fair here, right in the middle. Okay, let's see if I can do that. And we're going to start off with the first question for this week, and it's going to be simple. What do you expect from your signings this season?
Well, do you know what, Joel? If I go first here, there's one signing that Chelsea have made where there isn't any jeopardy. There's nothing to discuss. What you get with Raheem Sterling is a guarantee, and I think that's so important. I think Raheem Sterling, he is Premier League proven. We know that he can do it against the big teams. We know that he's a winner. He's won 4 out of the last 5 league titles. He is exactly everything that you could possibly want from a signing because there is no jeopardy. So that one's in the bag. I feel no way there. It's the perfect signing. Koulibaly is different because everything that I've just said about the guarantees of Sterling, they don't exist. We had the guarantee. The guarantee was Rudiger. Rudiger works in the Premier League. He works in the Tuchel system. He worked at Chelsea. He's popular in the dressing room. And we decided to not pursue with Rudiger because we couldn't afford him, but give Koulibaly more money. So it's shambolic, really. But I think he's a very good defender. I think that he will be able to fill the void left by Rudiger. But that one, I think the jury's out because I'm so in favour of Premier League proven signings. Because whatever you say about a signing, look, Erling Haaland might score 40 goals this season. But people were telling me Timo Werner was going to be good in the Premier League. So I like a Premier League proven player.
That's a good point. I want to say, like, in regards to Koulibaly, like, you know, but if I want to take it back to Raheem Sterling, it's a different system. And remember when we smashed you guys recently 4-0 impartially in the Florida Cup final? One thing that I saw watching it live, I thought Raheem might struggle here because he's used to, you know, the ball coming in from behind, whipping it in, ball coming across, either him doing it or he gets the tap in that Haaland had in the friendly that they played the other day against Bayern Munich. But that's not a guarantee for him this season, you know. Yes, he has Reece James behind him, who's a really good player, but you know, is he going to be playing on the right? Is he going to be playing on the left? You know, who's going to be feeding him the balls? It's not as clear at the moment. I don't know if you agree or anyone else. In fact,
I think with that really, mate. Sterling for me is a guarantee. Does anyone counter that? I just think Sterling is about as guaranteed as you can get.
Rory, so there was only a couple of points, and I'm not even saying you're wrong. You fully might be right, but in my opinion, like just when I look at the signing from a bunch of different perspectives, I think first of all, Premier League proven. I know there were circumstances that came into it because, let's be honest, he was just a bit of a divvy. But Lukaku, he was Premier League proven and nowhere near reached the heights to what he was supposed to elevate you to. He was supposed to take you from the Champions League winners to a team that could compete on all fronts, which I think, even though you won a couple of trophies last season and got to 2 finals, I still think that in certain elements, that wins, he was there to basically take you further than the quarterfinals of the Champions League. He's the man to get you that extra goal. And when you talk about Sterling, I think he's coming into a system where the fullbacks are mostly utilised as the attacking players. And on top of that, I don't think he has the striker that he would have always had at Manchester City. Not to mention, as Joel briefly said before about the system. The system's very different. And even though he's Premier League proven, good player, he's shown that he's got quite a lot of flaws to his game. And I'm not trying to say he's like
James,
like Timo Werner.
I think Raheem Sterling could do the Timo Werner role there quite easily. Yes. And I think he'd be a little bit more successful at doing it. He can play through the middle as well. He's not just an out-and-out winger. I kind of agree with Rory here. Like he was quality at Liverpool, he was quality at City. Yes, you've got the benefit of playing for City and being that guy that pops up on a back post and just tucks in the tap-ins, but you've got to be there. And I think he's shown that he's a player that will work hard, work his socks off for the team and play a tactical role as well, which is done for Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola to get rid of a lot lesser players, a lot better players that wouldn't play the role that Raheem Sterling has. So I think Raheem Sterling is going to be good for Chelsea.
I think the difference between the signing of Raheem Sterling and Romelu Lukaku is that Romelu Lukaku, although Premier League proven, West Brom and Everton, Man United, he flopped. It's a fact. He flopped at Man United. So that was the last spell in the Premier League. So I think the pressure at Man United got to him, and going to Inter, it was a fresh start for him. Coming back from Inter, again, £100 million price tag. He'd really torn up the league there. I think the pressure got to him again. Raheem has played in big games. I think he's a pretty solid Premier League player. He's very consistent in his form. I don't think he's going to flop. I think he's going to do well at Chelsea. I think he's going to have enough ammunition there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Joel. Joel, for me, just trying to be as objective here as possible, I think that we can explore whether Koulibaly is an upgrade on Rudiger. We can explore whether he's suited to the Premier League. We can explore whether it's a good signing for Chelsea. But Sterling, for me, is just about as guaranteed a success story as you get. Like, there's always a chance, right? There's always a chance with any signing. But we're signing a player who is about as proven as you could possibly hope for. And I'm delighted with Sterling. I'd go so far, Joe. I don't know if you think this is too strong. But Chelsea haven't had a good window overall. Chelsea's window hasn't been particularly impressive. But if we played a different game, so not who's won the window, who is the single best signing that any club has made, I think you could make a case for that being Raheem Sterling to Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Well, we can't say...
No, wait there. So out of all the clubs, did you say, Rory? I might have misheard you. Did you say all the clubs?
If you play the single best signing in the Premier League this season, the single best signing, who is it?
Erling Haaland.
Yeah, it's probably Erling.
But
it's not that far-fetched of a shout. It's not that far-fetched of a shout.
Am I the only one who thinks that's a bit ludicrous? Just my opinion. I don't know. Number one.
I think you've got a clear winner in probably Erling Haaland, but it's not that bad of a shout.
Yeah,
I think it's Haaland, man. Haaland hasn't scored a Premier League goal. He may hit 40, but there's jeopardy, there's conversation, there's questions. Premier League proven footballers are worth the weight in gold. And look, it might work for Nunez. Nunez might have the season of his life. He might catapult Liverpool to the League and Champions League. Liverpool lift the Premier League title in a packed Anfield. They lift the European Cup at the Ataturk again, right? Let's say that happens. Darwin Nunez great signing, and it could happen. But
instead of second, going to be all right.
No, but he might not. Whether you think Haaland runs away with it, whether you think Nunez hits ground running, it's kind of irrelevant because there is a question mark. Whereas with Sterling, I think there isn't one. With Gabriel Jesus, for example, I think that's a brilliant signing for Arsenal. With Gabriel Jesus, there are no question marks. He will score more than 10 goals in the Premier League this season. That's a guarantee. And therefore,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Question mark over Gabriel Jesus.
The single best signing is maybe Sterling, maybe Jesus, but I don't think it can be Haaland or Nunez.
No, that's fine. But with Sterling, he's scoring, I know he scored a lot of goals, but he still has a lot of questionable seasons. So to say that there's definitely no question mark. And a signing isn't just how they perform on the pitch, of course, it's a big part of it, but also the asset that they are. And more likely than not, you're not going to make the money that you spent on Sterling back from Sterling. Now, it really doesn't matter because you've got loads of dough. However, from all strategic point of views, I still think there is a question mark on if Sterling makes you better than what you was last season. So you got to 2 finals, you won 2 trophies, and you finished 3rd in the Premier League. Does he make you better? I'm sure he can do better than Werner for sure, but does he make you better overall? Is he the player that elevates you? Is he the Eden Hazard? I'm not trying to say stylistically. I'm just more talking about the impact that he has on the team. I don't think he is. I think
he's the best player at the club. The overall system. He's immediately, think of the level, think of the drop-off from Sterling to Pulisic. Think of the drop-off from Sterling to Ziyech. Think of the drop-off from Sterling to Timo Werner, who isn't a Premier League footballer. Think of the drop-off. And therefore, think of the signing that Sterling is. Sterling levels Chelsea up to a ridiculous level. He's immediately the best forward-thinking player at the club.
I agree with that.
And with that in mind, I think it's a sensational signing for Chelsea. We need more. I think we're in a terrible shape, James. Don't get me wrong. I'm so nervous about this season. But
it's a sign that doesn't make it worse, of course, and he is better than the players you've got.
Very good sign.
James, I want to move it across because I'm very sure that I heard Nicky say that there's question marks over Gabriel Jesus, and I'm not trying to be the Arsenal guy here because let me be real. When we were
more you say that, the less I believe you.
Yeah, I know. But listen, I can prove this because when we were first
allegedly.
Allegedly. When we were first getting Jesus, I thought to myself, I know, but he hasn't really banged since the 2017-18 season. I weren't really sure, you know. But the reality is, I've seen him pre-season, and the sharpness and the quickness and the style, that's a guarantee right there. You know, it's more of a guarantee than Tyrell Malacia and, you know what I mean, Christian Eriksen, mate. Yeah.
No, it's not more of a guarantee than Christian Eriksen in terms of quality. Look, I think Gabriel Jesus is a fantastic signing in isolation, but what Arsenal want him to be is their main number 9. Is he the main number 9 of a club like Arsenal with the expectations of Arsenal, with, you know, the pressure that comes? You lot have had one of the most expensive summers again in Europe. Like, you pretend you don't have money and stuff, but you start spending a lot of clubs at the moment, and there's
under the radar. Under the radar,
Arsenal going to be expected to be in the top 4 next season. I don't know if he's the guy to be able to deal with that pressure. Like, when we talk about Sterling, I think Sterling deals with the pressures of Chelsea quite easily. I
agree with Adam. The question I've got about Jesus is exactly that. Is he a number 9? Is he going to want to play through the middle all season? He had a lot of chances at Man City, and they produced a lot of chances. Now, I know Arsenal were in a similar vein, but I just got a feeling, Joel, that, listen, I'm going to go bold, mate. I don't think he scores 10 goals. Honestly, I don't think he scores 10 goals.
So who's going to bang in the goals for us instead? Eddie Nketiah? Is he going to be our main striker?
No, I think he scores 10 goals. I think he to work out, but I don't think he scores 10 goals.
What, in the league? Just in the league?
In the league, yeah.
That's possible.
Nicky, that's bold. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But
that's possible.
That's so bold.
That is possible.
As good as Eddie Nketiah has been recently, we need Jesus. He's the main man. His sharpness, his quickness, his experience, he's buzzing. He feels like he's the main man in the squad. That alone will.
But what is his experience, though? That's what you've got to ask. That's the thing, and that's the question mark. I think
he's a Brazil international.
No doubt.
And just
he's never been the main man, though.
Squad, but even being in and around that City squad, he's gone to a lesser team, and not only are the coaches empowering him, Arteta, but us, the fans.
But the expectations are still high. The expectations aren't to finish 5th and 6th or 6th again. It's to finish in the Champions League spots. It's for him to come and be the main man. I don't know if he's that guy.
Do you know what, Joel? It's difficult for you here because everything you say with regard to your own team is going to be seen through like being biased. But I haven't got a dog in this fight. In fact, I do, and I don't really want my own prediction on this to be correct. But I think Jesus is a wonderful footballer. I think he's going to change the way that Arsenal play. Look, I'm not saying it's going to go well for Arsenal because I don't rate the manager as highly as everyone else. But in terms of what that front 4 will bring, in terms of the way that front 4 work, this is it. This is what Arteta has wanted for ages. He's wanted that front 4 who each score more than 10 dozen goals each, and it's really effervescent, really lively, running the channels constantly, full of energy. He could never do that when he had Alexander Lacazette. Finally, he's got somebody who's happy to press, happy to play with his back to goal, happy to run the channels, and I think Jesus is going to have a really good season. I think Jesus will.
But when they signed Alexander Lacazette, he was the guy. And they crumble under that pressure.
Say that again. Sorry, Adam. It kind of cut out. Rubbish. The internet couldn't take it.
When you signed Lacazette, he was supposed to be the guy. He was the main man for Arsenal.
Yeah,
he was the man to replay. And
two different players.
They are 2 different players, and it is 2 different times. But he hasn't got the luxury of playing for Manchester City anymore. Coming on when it's 2-0.
You got to remember, Adam. Sometimes you're signed by someone, and you're going there because the manager has faith in you and trusts in you. But then after that, it changes straight away. You know, that has a major effect. How many times have we seen that at United or even at Chelsea? Look, everyone's talking about Rudiger and how great he is, which I agree. But let's not forget that he weren't even making it in Frank Lampard's team. Sometimes it depends.
Frank Lampard's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, boys,
and he'll get sacked really soon as well.
Well, you know,
I'm just interested to see it about Jesus, Joel, is when, you know, expectations are high at Arsenal for him to be the number 9. And when they're getting pinged around by Palace 2-0 on Friday night, I want to see Harry steps up and you know, start scoring the goals. That's what I want to see. So,
but he's getting booed by
yeah. When Rob is outside telling him he's got to go, then I want to know Harry.
Do you know what I did, Joe? Do you know what I did read about Jesus? Look, I don't think this. I think he's going to work. But do you know what I did read? I think Gabriel Jesus is the only centre forward to lead the line for Brazil into a World Cup and not score a goal in that World Cup. So he has got it in him. He has got it in him to fall off. He has got it in him. But,
All right, guys,
I don't think he will. I think he's going to be.
Let's move on to the West Ham signing. All these overinflated players like that are no guarantees. Talk to me. You know, I want to see what Scamacca's going to do. What's going on?
Nunez,
yeah, we'll talk about Nunez in a second. I just want to hear what Nicky has to say about West Ham quickly.
Listen, I ain't got no boots to fill, man. We're overachieving, and we have been for the last few seasons. Scamacca comes in. It's so easy to be excited by a player when you haven't seen a centre forward. I love Mikel Antonio. I love the socks off him. I really do. But he's not a natural centre forward. And I think at times last season, in the positions we got ourselves in, we carried ourselves quite far in European competition, and we done all right in the league. We failed because of freshness, because we didn't have enough squad depth. And when you know that Mikel tailed off towards the end of the season, his instinct as a striker just isn't there. And I'm very interested to see about Scamacca. He comes with, I don't think it's a huge reputation, but he's definitely one to watch, because he's got something about him. He's a big lad. He's agile. He likes to shoot from outside the box, which we haven't seen since probably about 1997 when Eyal Berkovic was with us. But yeah, there's loads to look forward to in Scamacca. Look, he could come in and foul. We signed Sebastian Haller. He didn't work out for us. He's gone on. He was great at Frankfurt. He was fantastic at Ajax. Unfortunately, he's not going to get his chance just yet at Dortmund, but I'm sure he will in the future. And I'm sure he'll be fantastic for them. But he didn't work in our system. He didn't work under Moyes. Scamacca seems to be more of a Moyes type of player. He's hardworking. He's going to get in and around the box. Just that striker's instinct, I think he outscores Gabriel Jesus, I think, to be honest.
Ooh. You don't know that. Whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping.
Know. Yeah, you're hoping.
Joel, you've got to take that bet. You can make a lot of money here, Joel. You've got to take that bet.
Yeah, it's true. No, you know what? You're right. I'll have a chat with you offline. I'll have a chat with you. What about this Naif Ulgard guy? I don't really know too much about him as a centre back. Like
again, not a huge reputation, but definitely got a one of them one for the futures tag. Although he's a little bit older than Scamacca. Unfortunately, mate, injured for 12 weeks, which is the West Ham way. So we're not going to see him until after the World Cup. But again, I think with the signing of Zuma last year, I think Zuma really solidified our defence. We missed him too much last year through injury. But if we can get him playing alongside Zuma, you've got that big, quick, solid centre back, and Agued's a bit more of an agile ball playing centre back. I think it could be a great partnership for the future. But listen, by the time we see him, the only thing I worry about for West Ham, is that there's clearly a little bit of a project there. There's clearly a little bit of a project, but realistically, like the top six are way beyond us, to keep competing year after year. And unless something drastic happens, we can't spend the sort of money that you guys can. And I just think that unless we produce a miraculous season like Leicester, like a couple of seasons ago, I think we could fall off, just because I think one more season, if we don't get into the top six or we don't break the top four, then we're going to lose some of our best players. It's without a doubt. Bowen's going to want to be, looking at other places. Rice is definitely going to be looking at other places. So I think it's a project, but it's how we deal with that project and how we replace them players once they leave. But it's positive at West Ham at the minute. We're all looking forward to the season.
Nicky, can I ask you a question? Do you think that West Ham should have made more of... Because you're talking about how, obviously, you're overachieving. I absolutely agree. I think David Moyes has done a great job. But do you think maybe having additions like Lingard, for instance, someone who is a little bit Premier League proven at yourselves, if you made a bit more of a pursuit to get players like him, I'm not trying to say that it should put you in the top six, but it definitely gives you a much bigger possible chance, considering how much he improved you last time. So do you think maybe that even though you are overachieving, I don't know if it's the board, I don't know if it's the manager, who are not putting the pace on the pedal to actually go ahead and go even further? Let's try something here. You know what I mean? Well, we've got a bit of momentum.
I think that the time to do that was January last year. I think we could have quite easily won that Champions League, Europa League, and got into the Champions League through that. I think if it had made a couple of look, there was ambition, but I think it was fake ambition. We went for the guy that you signed recently, and for a lot less money than you signed him for. And I think it's just one of them things where they like to put in these bids to say, well, we tried. But I think the time to do that was last year. We was in a fantastic position Christmas last year, January last year, still flying high in the Europa League, still in and around that top four, even if not top six. And I think that was the time then. I think it's going to be very, very tough with, Arsenal strengthening, Man United are going to strengthen, Chelsea are strengthening, Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham. I think have had the window of the window of the window, to be honest. And I think they're going to be, I've predicted them to do really good things. So
same here, to be honest with you. I think they're going to finish third. Don't mean to cut you off, Nicky. I really want to move on to the last two here. We'll start off with you, James. Would you expect from your signings this season? I mean, you haven't had the most, but I guess you just need to tweak things here and there, innit, really?
Definitely. Well, we've already got the spine of the squad, so I think when people see players like Mane leaving, that's huge. You all know what I thought about Mane. He's a great player, and when you lose a player like that, it's a big asset that is now gone. However, you've got to move on to the next one. Personally, was Nunez stylistically the player I wanted? Not really. Am I going to back the signing? Yes, because what's his job to do? It's to score goals. If you're expecting a Luis Suarez, you're not going to get that because stylistically they just don't do the same things. Suarez is obviously more established but better in all attributes, dribbling, long shots, etc. So if you're expecting that type of player, it's just not what you're going to get. But if Nunez comes in, gets 20 goals and 10 of them are tap-ins, dead sound, because that means he's obviously getting something into the right positions. He's got a good sense for the goal, good awareness, and if he works around good play, let's be honest, he's only had one good season, but it was in a league where his team dominated possession. He's going to be playing for another team that's going to be dominating possession as well and creating a lot of chances from the fullbacks, the wingers. Luis Diaz is a very creative player, so you've only now got that to be added to the attack. I think it will be a good signing because the only thing that dictates a good signing, especially for the number 9, is if they score goals, and they score goals in the biggest moments. That's the only. I think he'll score goals. It's only if he'll score goals in the biggest moments.
James,
if it will make it look for the price tag.
Let me ask you a question. I want to put a cat amongst the pigeons.
My mate.
Would you have preferred to re-sign Sterling over Nunez?
I think Sterling's a better player than Nunez for sure. I don't think Sterling would have made a whole lot of sense, but I would say it would. If he came in, I wouldn't be devastated. I don't think he's a crap footballer. I just don't think it makes sense. It's not the FSG way. We're looking for the long term with the fact that some of our players are a little bit older for the ones who have been starting over recent years. So it's important to get these assets in because, Fabio Carvalho, for instance, that's someone who I want to talk about with a lot of excitement because he's a good asset, £6.5 million. Regardless, we're going to make profit on him. And if we don't make profit, it means he stayed and he's probably done well. So with Nunez, I look at it as a good asset. Hello?
James, do you see, I was going to say that, all the focus is on Nunez.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's actually not going to be about Nunez this year? It's more likely to be Harvey Elliott. What kind of contribution is he going to have? Maybe Curtis Jones. What kind of contribution is he going to have? It feels like it's all set up. Have you heard? Obviously you have. But the way that Klopp talks about Elliott.
Yeah. No, he's a boss player. It's just he hasn't had the games that, a Saka's had or some of the, Phil Foden. But he's got the base there. He's a good dribbler. He's good at beating players. He's a creative player as well. He's something that we don't have. And stylistically, you need to change. You need to evolve. Klopp has made this a thing. Since he joined the club, we started by just pressing all the time. Then we started playing nicer football. And over time, we adapt. So with VAR, for instance, now we're always playing that offside trap because we know it'll probably work. With players like Harvey Elliott coming in and Fabio Carvalho, I think that's the future of the football club. I think the scouting department is that good. I think Klopp has shown he can compete, not even on a budget, but just on the sort of unsung talent of footballers that this world has to offer. That's what he looks for. He brings them in. He maximises what he can do with the budget that he's given by FSG and hopes that he can have some long-term success. And I think players like Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho specifically, will have that long term. Briefly on Curtis Jones, I think, for maybe a season or two now, this is the season for Curtis Jones to show his stuff. This season, if it doesn't work out for him this season, then he's probably not going to be that regular starter in the Liverpool midfield, but the talent is there for sure. He'll add to the squad.
Wow, I'm
not sure. Have Liverpool not decreased in quality though? If you're looking at Nunez coming in, it's a lot of money to spend on a player. That is a huge risk, and you've lost Mane, so really the quality up there. Obviously, you got great. I think Klopp's the weapon, the special weapon at Liverpool, and when they've got Jurgen Klopp, they'll have someone that can work miracles. But I think when you look at that team, it has gone backwards from last season, and they probably still need to do more if they want to keep up with City. If we're looking at it from a purely title race perspective, City have bought Haaland in, although they've lost Sterling. Haaland's probably going to come in. Even if he fails, probably gets 20 goals.
No, I'm on to you. I'm fully on to you. But Adam, get on this. You fully might be right. And I'm not trying to be Mike alone, but you could be wrong. You fully could be wrong. The reason being,
I'm probably wrong when you look at Klopp's track record. But that question there.
The question's always there when you're changing the squad and you're bringing in new players. Of course it is. But if Harvey Elliott is Phil Foden, then we're probably not going to be looking too terrible. You've just brought in a striker who, with the service that we have to offer, Luis Diaz, Mo Salah, full-backs, he's probably going to get goals. If Harvey Elliott comes in, adds a creative spark and does, let's say, exceeds expectations, then that obviously improves the squad immensely. And that's the thing, we don't know about these type of players. And if they do live up to what Klopp is saying they can live up to, then that means we could be better in different aspects. Might be worse in some, but if it makes us better overall, that's all that really matters. And I think getting this young team together is only sort of like Arsenal, building the harmony of the squad even further. It's going to get the fans behind them even more because we're still going to be competing. We've still got the experienced players within the spine. But now we've got to start thinking about the future. That was the questions that was being asked a year ago. Oh, Mane. Remember when he had the poor season? Adam, was you one of those people who was writing off Mane? Just be honest.
Well, I never thought he'd be this good anyway.
No one
never
did.
thought he'd be this good again.
No one did.
No one's it. I listen. You say no one's it. That's a term that you can use very loosely if you so feel. For me, I feel like the quality was always there. That's just for me. But with these new additions, the quality could end up being there, mate. They're working with the best. What I think is the best manager in the world.
Fair enough. Let's move it across now to Mr. Adam Mckola. Talk to us, man, because you had a lot of chat for me. I want to hear your energy now.
No, I mean, our best signing this summer so far has been Erik ten Hag, to be totally honest with you. I think he'll make some of the players that we've got better, but we haven't done enough business in the transfer window. We're here to talk about transfers. I think Christian Eriksen in isolation is a great signing. We've lost Lingard and Mata in those positions. So you're bringing him in as an alternative for Bruno or someone that can fight for a spot in the first team. So immediately the quality in that position has improved. But if you're looking further back in the team, I think Lisandro Martinez, good signing, an Argentinian centre-back to come in and provide competition in a spot that we need to. But the business we really needed to do is in midfield. And big teams that win big competitions and have sides that can challenge for the top trophies. They all have quality midfields, and I don't think ours is up to scratch. As we speak, do you know what I mean? We obviously could sign Frankie de Jong and things start to look a little bit different. But even if we manage to bring in Frankie de Jong in the transfer window, you've then got the added fact of what's going to happen with Cristiano Ronaldo. Even with Cristiano Ronaldo, we've got no depth up top. So you need to make signings in those positions, and we're being linked with players, but not much business has been done. So the signings that we've made, I'm happy with. Terrell Malacia looks like it could be a shrewd bit of business, but he's a squad player again. It's like we haven't brought in any players to truly improve the first 11. Maybe Martinez, but we needed a lot more than that.
I think that's shocking as well, Adam, because you weren't great last year, even with Ronaldo, and if without Ronaldo's goals, I think it was touted that you'd finish about like fucking flipping 13th or something like that. You know what I mean? It was.
We don't look down the table that far. We don't know what's going on.
Mate, we finished right next to each other in Europa League spots. Just please.
Yeah, but this is it, isn't it? Like, without that goal, and now that he wants to, he seems like he's trying to force his way out. That gives the manager another headache. Who'd you go and get now at this stage of the season? The season's a week away.
That's the worst thing about it. Like, I love Cristiano Ronaldo, and the memories he's given us over the years are amazing. I think I can only speak for myself, but I'm in a position where you don't mind if he goes, as long as you do bring in a replacement. We're obviously being linked with Sesko at the moment. I don't know a whole lot about him. Obviously, is the name on everyone's lips at the minute. We were linked with Ivan Toney. If we bring in a striker and Cristiano Ronaldo leaves, I'm not that concerned. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see how we develop the front three of Martial, Sancho, Rashford. I think Sancho is going to be immense this season, but we still need to add more to that team. We still need to add a lot more to the team. And Ten Hag is an exciting coach. I finally think we've got the right appointment in a manager, but the board need to back him properly. That's
I
for
don't
sure.
think they're going to have a bad season at all, you know. Do you know that? I don't like saying this, but I think they're going to be all right. I think it's going to be... I don't know if I'm just conditioned for years and years of seeing Manchester United do the business and win silverware and be the club that always pull it out the bag. But look, I'm not suggesting that it's going to be a great season for them, but I think that they're going to be far better than most people think they're going to be. I hope I'm wrong. Desperately hope I'm wrong. But I think that they're going to be knocking on the door for top four. Whether they get it or not is up for debate, but I think that they're going to actually be all right.
Guys,
yeah, I do sort of agree. Sorry, Joe, just a sort of brief point of view from my perspective. I think with United, I think this is kind of a how do I term this in a manner that is good? Like a fuck it season. This is a fuck it season. You know what I mean? It's like we just go for it. We build on what has been really poor investment over recent times. Rafael Varane is good. He's good, but he's not world class. He's not the Varane that he was before in any means necessary. Harry Maguire is finito. Ronaldo doesn't love you. He's like the dad who went to the shop, never came back. But once you made a little bit of money, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm your father." And you know, at that point, the pictures are paint. You know what I mean? But no, in all seriousness, I think he'll be sound over the long term. I think you've got a manager who's going to put his philosophy in. But what do you need with that? You need time. What also do you need with that? Investment. But give him more control with the investment. Let him bring in the players. And I think the players that he's linked with, the players that Martial being getting more of an involvement, Van der Beek, stylistically, you need to choose the correct players that's going to improve your system. Weirdly enough, I will not be too surprised, because it's not a very hard thing to do, to improve the system that you've got at the moment. So that's why I'm thinking, if he plays with the players that he wants to play instead of these big names, I already see a dramatic improvement from Manchester United next
I think that's one of the things people
over time.
That's one of the things people overlook. That like we will see an improvement in Rashford, Sancho, Martial, etc. Bruno Fernandes, I think, as well. But we do need some. If he gets that, even if he just gets Frankie De Jong, make a huge difference.
I just hope you give him time, Adam. You know, your club of anyone. You know, when you talk about Ferguson, you know, the way he was nearly outed, you know, before his legacy started. You know, your fans more than anyone should understand the importance of giving him time. I just hope that if he's not picking the likes of Bruno and you know the big players, and they start to lose games, because inevitably they will. They're going through a huge overhaul. And I hope that the fans just give him a bit of patience, give him a bit of time, trust in him, and just say, look, he knows what's best. He knows what he wants out of these players, and he knows that he's not going to get this out of maybe a Rashford or a Martial or a Bruno Fernandes or whatever. And just trust him and not try and put the pressure on him because that's inevitably when managers start losing the will to manage. To be quite honest, when everyone's trying to tell them, how to do their job.
Guys, I'm going to have to wrap this question here. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments. I know you guys are writing left, right, and center anyway. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please make sure you follow the people who are on here. Their links are in the description. And we will be back next week with the debate show. Peace.